Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and this kind of incredible hulk is the SK push button Hawkbill lock blade knife. It's got a heavy, thick aluminum, looks like green anodization or green paint or something, I'm not sure how they got that, coating on it. Pretty solid, rather heavy knife, about 7.5 inches long, about 2.6 inch blade. Slight but smooth jimping up at the top. It's got like a plastic liner filling in the whole back end. Not sure what the benefit of that is. If you look at like Milwaukee, they do it as well, as does Klein. Yet a lot of others, you know, they have kind of a pass-through so you can easily clean the things out. But anyway, there is... this one was about 19 bucks, 18 and change. There is also a drop point version, kind of like a satin finish drop point blade, and then a utility blade one with interchangeable, you know, the razor blades on the front end, all kind of holding this same sort of bright green. I'm calling it the Hulk. That's kind of what it reminds me of, this bright green handle. It has lanyard hole. It's pretty stout. You can see it's got 3 screws there, big pivot, non-reversible pocket clip, as you can see there, which to me is unfortunate. That's my preference, is to have it on the opposite side of the blade, but it's not like I'm going to be carrying this around too much. I've just got some other kind of greenish blades and yellowish blade or handles around to do a comparison in a second. But anyway, the variation here on this D2 steel blade, it does look like it's got a coating on it, nothing fancy, but has to do with the angle of the Hawkbill. And I'm going to show you on these three versions here, and kind of in 2 measurements. One is the overall depth of the curve. So if you came out here to the tip, how much does it curve in towards the spine of the knife? And also what's going on the tip, how sharp a drop is that? This, is, you can see, has got a little bit more of an angle to it. This one, you know, almost goes into free fall, and then this one does go actually vertical, straight down. And what that has to do with is what goes on at that very tip, which is where most of the action takes place, whether you're cutting cardboard or cutting you know, the sheathing on wire, or any of the other things that Hawkbill knives do great. They're good for scoring if you're doing linoleum work. Even I was kind of hard on them early on. I had a couple of old ones, like doing sheetrock work, or even if you're laying like the cement board on a subfloor, you can easily score them with something like this. But going back to this, this has kind of some, well, sort of Wharncliffe-esque appearances. The Warncliff generally is a flat blade, and then there's a steep drop down to the point. This one's a little bit of a modified with a rolling down front edge. And then this one, this has a lot of essence of Wharncliffe. It does have a curve here which takes it out of the Wharncliffe and into the Hawkbill, but the design at the front end kind of, it reminds me more of a Wharncliffe, might be the blade color too. And these are incredibly effective at keeping the point or the blade, in this case, aligned with what you're cutting. Whereas if there's a curve up, say in a traditional blade like this, as you slice away, as you slice, the pressure of the cutting surface on the workpiece, you know, if you're slicing, diminishes. Whereas if you're using a Warncliffe style, it stays in contact. You're pushing against it. So there's a bit of a fighting aspect too. As far as the color, it's a fairly loud green. That's kind of nice. It's not the kind of fluorescent-y green like this or Craftsman. You know, I don't mind those either. Oh, let me show you. This is kind of funny. Look at this. I've got this knife. It is double USA branded. Pretty crazy there. You open it up, and what do I have? Frost, USA. Made in China. Go figure. Anyway, another Craftsman green. This is kind of the loud lime green, or what I often think of as zombie green, but either one would pass for a zombie zombie green anyway. I don't know where that came from, the zombie green. But anyway, I snugged it down. It did come a little bit loose. I could not get it to both be a solid lock or a solid pivot with the ability to flip it open. So it's actually in there pretty stiff. I don't mind that. Good solid lockup. When you kind of see how it's working inside there, I'd trust it. Looks like it's got some kind of maybe bronze washers in there, keep things smooth. But anyway, so SK's got a couple of nice knives. I don't know if I'll pick up any of the others, but I did like the Hawkbill. I was thinking about the Klein. There is another Klein out I've been playing with getting just to see, but I noticed this blade actually looks very much like the Klein blade as far as the angle, so I thought I'd start with this one. It feels like a really short blade on a really long handle that is very slippery when you compare it, say, to the Milwaukee or something. I mean, that thumb rest there, that depression, really adds some security. And sometimes you're putting way too much force on these things. As far as the thickness, it's in there. And because you can damage them, obviously Klein gives you a thin blade, very sharp, and the ability to replace it. So you can have a pretty stout handle as well. They're using an old school lockback design. It's been around forever, but not bad. Anyway, so this is a liner lock, this is a push button lock, so there's all kinds of variations. Anyway, I'll put a link below if you're interested in seeing what these things look like on Amazon. Get decent reviews. There is a it seems like a renaissance of SK branding this green on some more modern tools. I guess that's what Capital allows you to do. And they're still taking the 1914 date, so technically I guess that's when it started, regardless of who owns it. So anyway, there it is, the SK Incredible Hulk Hawkbill Knife. And with that, Doc out.